Don't doubt the future. Don't doubt the possibilities. Don't doubt the extraordinary gifts that your distributors bring to your organization. Don't doubt that. And here's the most important one of all. Don't doubt yourself. If I've got miracle working power to change my life, so do you. If I've got the ability to change, so do you. If I've got the ability to read, so do you. If I can discover, so can you. If I can grow, you can grow.
And the pantry is an easy way to explain that. If you don't know what you're going to eat, you don't have rules around what you eat, and you've got a bunch of junk food in the house, the odds of you sticking to your diet are basically zero because you don't have things laid out. You have not said, this is what I eat for breakfast, this is what I eat for lunch, this is what time I eat, this is what time I stop eating. All that stuff. Put rules in your life, buy according to that, live according to that, and then keep that list of the things that you know that you're supposed to be doing. Okay? It's very important for you to make the right choice, the easy choice. As you do that in multiple areas of your life and just start ruling things out, and this is again where bright lines really come in handy, you have to have things that you don't do as much as knowing what you do. And a lot of people get themselves in trouble because they don't have these bright lines. There aren't things that are off limits. So for instance, Monday through Friday,
what's left? See, self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you can't control what you do.
Your dreams are important. They are significant. They are valuable. They matter. You need to take your life, your goals, your inspirations, your aspirations, your desires seriously. Because if you don't, no one else will.
You do have the power to create an amazing future. It's okay to rest. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take some time to pull your thoughts together. But it's not okay to quit.
See, self-discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Self-discipline is the magic power that makes you virtually unstoppable.
If I can develop, you can develop. If I can get an invitation like I got 6 years ago, help take something around the world, so can you. I'm asking you, don't sell yourself short. Here's the next one, worry. I'm asking you to drive worry into a small corner. You gotta worry some. All this negative stuff serves some purpose, but the key is for you to be the master, not the servant. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your daughter's not home yet, best you worry. In New York City, if you step off the curb and one of those yellow taxis is coming, best you worry.
Every day I feel like driving in a nice car. Every day I feel like flying first class. Every single day of my life, I feel like giving 100%. Every single day. Somebody said yesterday, E.T., you gave 120. What you gonna do tomorrow? I said, I don't know. Give 140. I don't know, but I don't have days where I don't feel like it. Why? Because I'm counting on me. My wife's counting on me. I don't have days to waste. No more 50%, no more. No more 70%, no more. I want us at 85 and climbing. I want you at 85 and climbing. If you're at 80, I want you at 90, and I mean moving rapidly. It's not rocket science. And the universe is not responding to you correctly because your body language sucks. Your spirit sucks. It's defeated. I need you to give me that 120. I need you to give me that everything you do. I need you to start giving me that 120 in everything you do.
You may think that it's an optical illusion, but this opportunity that you are facing, that is standing directly in front of you, you must own it. And take charge, you have to commit to everything that you do, but you must make sure that you are committing to the possibilities and not the negativity. I'm letting you know right now that you are a possible individual, you are a possible being, you are a possible reality. And this is the time for you to recognize that don't stop now. Don't give up on now. Find the way that you are recognizing within yourself.
But here's what I'm asking you to do. You be the master of worry. Drive it into a small corner. Don't let it loose. And I'm asking you to go home with some new faith and some new courage. I'm asking you, don't worry. Drive it into a small corner. We've all got concerns, and sometimes we all wonder, and sometimes there's a little crack of doubt. We worry a little, but I'm telling you, drive it into a small corner. Drive your worries into a small corner. Enemies of the mind you got to do battle with in the summer. One is pessimism.
build on it just like clay, you must shape it. You must mold it, and you must make it a masterpiece. How many times have you said you couldn't do it? How many times did you said that you didn't have the strength? How many times, how many more times? When is enough going to be enough? When are you going to rise up and realize your true potential? When are you going to commit to your real truth? Because your words matter. Keep it moving, be productive, be powerful, and from the bottom of my heart, conduct. Or business, this is it, your journey can be seen millions and millions of miles away in everything that you think. Therefore, you shall be greater than you.
That tries to get you only to see the negative side. Of course, there's the negative side. Life is part negative. What else is new? The glass is half empty. It is half empty. You say, well, I've been only taught to see that it's half full. Well, sure, it's half full. But it's also half empty. I mean, can't you handle that? I mean, that's not too difficult.
If I'm awake, I'm either working or working out. So you can imagine if I start goofing off, I start playing with the dog, I play video games, I would know immediately that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because is it Monday through Friday? Yes. Am I working or working out? No. Cool. Then you're doing the wrong thing. And so by having these rules, and writing them down can be really useful. Having these rules, writing them down, knowing exactly what you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it. Because remember, you don't want to live the way that I'm describing unless it's in service of something you love, that you're excited about, that you believe in, that you want it. Because when you want that stuff, none of what I'm describing is a pain in the ass. You're excited to have these rules because they're actually allowing you to get done the thing you want to get done. And the more you engage with it, the more exciting it is, the more your passions are ignited because you're getting good at something, you're making progress. And something we haven't talked about, make sure your goals are exciting and honorable.
Fear is stronger than your doubts because your mind is very powerful music. Stop being sorry and start doing better. Better within you, better than anyone has ever seen, better than your mistakes, better than your failures, better than those that go to you. Lift yourself up. Stop with the excuses. Stop doing things that you know that is not right. Doing all the things that will make you better depends on how you think. How you feel, what you do, how you proceed. There are going to be times that you're going to want to give up, but you don't have the permission to do. So you must carry on a good fight. What great is in you.
Self-discipline is the center of the universe for success. Self-discipline is doing within while you're doing without.
There are going to be times when you feel like you're losing your mind, and you study for hours, and you're going to take an exam, and you will not pass. A student is resilient. A student is disciplined. A student is committed. A student is consistent. Why did you start in the first place? And what was the emotion, the feeling? What was the science and the psychology behind the decision that you made? And 9 times out of 10, I can tell you why you started. You started because you were hungry. This is the year of the breakthrough. This is the year of the what? This is the year of the what? This is the year of the what? Act like you hear me. Every dream requires discipline.
Bring it all together. Bring all the energy, all the passion, bring it all together and dominate.
I got an opportunity to make a dream become a reality. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing. If you don't have a 4.0, what you need to be doing is studying. Get off the phone. Sorry, I'm not available until the end of this year. No, I'm for real. You reached the right number, but you called me at the wrong time. Call me back January 1st. I'm about to get busy now. Stop being this high school dropout. Stop giving up. Stop sleeping on the street. Stop walking up and down Finkel Avenue like you ain't got nothing, and get your GED. Stop being afraid to take a test.
If you don't believe of your greatness that you possess inside, what good is your greatness? If you don't stand on it, how can you hold on to who you really are? Inside, the water may be a little rough. The tide could be coming in, but you got to keep on fighting. You got to keep on swimming. This path that you are taking right now, this emptiness that you are feeling right now, is only a temporary match, a temporary thing that is going on inside of you. Right now, it's only temporary, but it is necessary. It is necessary that you struggle. It is necessary that you feel alone. It is necessary that you have to continue to go forward.
Resilience. The ability to readily recover from illness or depression or adversity. Resilience, being able to withstand setbacks, broken hearts and broken dreams, financial crisis, loss of loved ones, loss of enterprise, and loss of health. How would you ever handle it if you lost everything you had today? How long would you be depressed and upset and angry? What would it take for you to pull yourself up and start all over again?
And that's what we have wherever we are, with whatever hand that life has dealt us. We have the freedom of spirit. We can go through life whining and weeping, or we can have the kind of spirit that people will say, hey, there's a blessing to be around that person. I'm reminded of a young guy who was on a bus, a little young fellow, and some kids were picking at him, some bigger guys, and they kept on thumping him on the head and hiding their hands. And so he got tired of them doing that, and he stood up so he would not be around them, out of their reach. And they took him and said, sit down. They set him down. And he stood back up and said, I don't want to sit down. They said, sit down. Didn't we tell you? And they pushed him back down. I don't want to sit down. They said, sit down. And they held him down. And he looked at him. He said, you might hold me down, but I'm standing up inside myself. And what we have got to do is know that there's something about you. There's something about us. There's a power in you that regardless of what happens to you, you can stand up inside of yourself. I think that's what the poet meant when he says, out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there may be for my unconquerable soul. You have an unconquerable soul. I say to you that there is a Nelson Mandela in you, that kind of commitment, that kind of spirit, that kind of personal power, that kind of vision of allowing yourself to be used by life is in you, that all of us came here to do something, to make a difference. And in a historical context, the world will never be the same again because you came this way.
You have trouble being resilient because you think everything works like laptops or like computers, that if you rub it, it'll click for you, it'll move for you, it'll open for you. And you try thing after thing after thing. I tried that and it didn't work, and I tried that and it didn't work, and I tried that and it didn't work. Because you think that trying something for a little while ought to bring you a big return. But life does not work like Apple. Some stuff takes time. Greatness takes time. It takes time. It takes time to build your brand. It takes time to build your life. It takes time to build your career. You got to be prepared to get 1,000 no's to get one yes. Life does not click and it appears. Be resilient. Stick it out. Winter, spring, summer, fall, resilient.
How resilient are you? Could you handle it? Could you learn from all your disappointments and start all over again? What would it take? Well, number one, it would take a lot of self-discipline. It would take a lot of positive self-talk to muster up the energy to begin again. It would take a lot of concentration to block out the noise and the clutter of all the negative voices trying to get through. It would take a lot of discipline to balance the fear and anxiety with the knowing that if you did it once, you can do it all over again. It would also take what? A lot of self-reliance, whether your losses had anything to do with you or not. Your future success has everything to do with you. It would take a lot of self-reliance to avoid blame. What's happened has happened. You would need to get on with your life and begin again. It would take a lot of faith. It would take a lot of faith and trust in God to move ahead. If you lost everything tomorrow and were gathering all the courage to try again, it would take a lot of self-appreciation, knowing that you have the skills and the talent and the strength to do it one more time, the ability to bounce back from adversity, No matter how large or how small, you lose a client, one of your biggest ones. Losing this client is going to negatively affect things for a while. The first thing you do is to figure out why you lost this business. What role did you play? What part are you responsible for? You just can't rant and rave around the office yelling and screaming at those around you. No, you'll lose respect. Respect that's hard to regain once you've lost it. You have to approach the situation rationally and figure out how to bounce back from your loss. You have to evaluate the situation and then start a plan to recapture the lost business. Network with associates to bring in a similar client or a larger one. You can't sit back and dwell on what's happened. No, you've got to get back into the marketplace and recapture what's been taken from you. Get back at it and replace what's gone. Now maybe your loss is a personal loss. Death of a loved one, divorce, loss of a very special friendship. If your loss is a deeply personal one, you must approach the situation a little differently. You must be patient with yourself and give yourself time. Time to grieve, time to regroup. The stages we go through in loss, be it death of a loved one, death of a relationship, or death of an enterprise. If the death is a literal one or a figurative one, the stages are the same. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And only by going through these stages and reaching acceptance can we rebound and begin again. It's said that children are often more resilient than adults. Why? Well, maybe it's because they don't evaluate their current situations based on past experiences. They approach it in a fresh way, a new way. And in their own minds, they deal with loss much better than adults. Children who grow up in the unfortunate circumstances of poverty or abuse or neglect, children who grow up in these conditions and become successful, are known as dandelion children. Because if they can succeed and prosper with terrible conditions, they can grow anywhere. To be able to grow and prosper and succeed despite our current conditions. To be able to grow and prosper and succeed despite our losses. To be resilient. Cultivating a resilient character turns what others would call failure into success. A resilient person won't give up. A resilient person will, in spite of all obstacles and setbacks, keep doing it until. To build a resilient character, you must have, number one, insight. The ability to ask tough questions of yourself and be honest with your answers. If you had something to do with your loss, be honest and responsible for it. Number two, resilience is independent. A resilient person counts only on themselves to bounce back into life. Number three, although resilience is independent, it's also tied to others. The more people you are responsible to, the greater the motivation to begin again. The stronger the reason, the stronger the action. The fourth component of resilience is initiative. The ability to take charge of the situation, the ability to take charge of the problem, the ability to stand up and do whatever is necessary to get back on course. A resilient person is, number five, creative. Being able to look at the situation and creatively determine the best way out. To look for solutions. To be enterprising in your approach towards starting over. A resilient person has humor. Number six, a sense of humor. They may cry till they start laughing. But a sense of humor is so important when turning your life around. You've got to take your ambition seriously, and you've got to take yourself seriously, but you've also got to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes, your situation. Somebody says you'll look back on this and laugh someday. Well, maybe today is the day to start. And here's the last one, morality. Whatever you do to get back on your feet, whatever you do to bounce back into life, make sure it's moral, Success, if it is yours to keep, must be at the service of others.
If you look at the wall, you run into it. You cannot even look at the wall, you pull the steering wheel into the wall. So when there's a crash at 215 miles an hour and there's smoke everywhere, we are trained to drive right into the smoke. Can you imagine that? Imagine the fear level of driving into the smoke at 200 miles an hour when you know there are crashed cars in front of you. That's what you do as a driver to win. That's what you do as an entrepreneur to win. That's what they do as an entrepreneur. My fever's like 110. All right, so you gotta be willing to drive in there. Here we go. You got 8 years left. Want to learn to bend time? You want some help with time? How do we manipulate those 8 years? Do you want to know, yes or no? Okay, here's how you manipulate that time. Who says a day is 24 hours? Who says that? Someone just made that crap up. Why can't a day be 23 hours? Why can't a day be 8 hours? A day can be 8 hours, by the way. I started it 10 years ago. I run 8-hour days. People that are successful in a bigger hurry, they're faster. They walk faster, talk faster, they move faster. This is something you're going to need to adopt. You don't need to be loud and intense like me, but you're gonna move, think, and walk and talk faster. Speed matters. So I run 8-hour days. My first day, you can do it however the heck you want, but my first day, I run 3 mini days. They're actually each 6 hours. My first day is from 6 a.m. to noon. That's a day. Have you ever had a day where you got more accomplished the first 3 hours than you do in a normal whole day? Yes or no? So did I. And I started thinking, well, then what the hell do I measure this stuff by 24 hours for? So many years ago, I went, my day is 6 a.m. to noon. I let the rest of the world have their day. I'm trying to run a whole day schedule of calls, appointments, contacts, meetings, executions, return of emails, whatever it is, from 6 a.m. to noon. That is the end of my day. Day 2 starts from noon to 6 p.m. That's my second day. I got 2 days now. My third day is from 6 p.m. until midnight. I run this cycle of days. I get 3 days a day. I calibrate time that way. I look at time that way. I execute that way. I crush you. If you work 24-hour days, you're going to get slammed. In today's world, the speed of internet contacts, and you're going to compete against someone like me and the people I teach this to, which comes out on my YouTube video on Monday, so you're getting it first, you better start running mini days. Especially those of you, by the way, who do this part-time. You need to really start to calibrate time the way I just told you. A day for you going forward is 6 a.m. to noon. Your second day is noon to 6 p.m. So if some of you are going to be at your job for the first 2 days, you've got a brand new day when you leave there, and you're 6 p.m. to noon. If you're going to be a real entrepreneur, real part-time, you bend time. What that does for me is it allows me to measure myself every window, every day. At the end of that day, I measure and adjust and calibrate. I actually have a clock that goes off in my head every hour. To this day, top of every hour, what do I do to execute? What do I need to do to move closer to my goal? What do I need to do to change? A little psycho, but it's what I have. You really want to win, you really want to be very wealthy, you compete with 24-hour days. Here's what I get. By the time you've run 2 days, I've had 6. Stack up a normal week for you, and I get 21 days. Now stack up a month, stack up a year, stack up 3 years, stack up 5 years, stack up 10 years, and you go from self-growth to savings.
So we can't even deal with what's fair. But he's stuck in the fact that it's not fair. I don't deserve that. They were wrong. I used to be a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. During the break, we used to go out on the front lawn of the Ohio legislature, the Capitol there, and observe people as they came by. There was one particular person that all of us knew. The children, adults, everybody used to pick at him when he came by. We called him Chicken Man. He had a feather in his hat. He had a toy chicken on top of his car that he would drive around the area in downtown, blinking his lights and occasionally blowing his horn. When he got out of his car, he would walk downtown with a baby carriage with 2 little baby dolls in there and a picture of a woman. And when you say something to him or came near him, you would hear him making the sounds of a chicken. All of us used to laugh at Chicken Man. We didn't know Chicken Man's story. Chicken Man woke up one morning around 3 a.m. and his house was on fire. He panicked and he got out of the window and left quickly, only to get outside to hear his children and his wife screaming for help. He ran back to the door to go in to save them, and the flames were too hot, too awesome. He tried to get in, he couldn't get in. He was desperate, frantic. Pretty soon the cries stopped. They perished in the fire. His brother-in-law came, found out that his sister had died and his nieces in the fire, grabbed Chicken Man and started beating him. "You chicken, why did you save my sister? You're chicken, you're chicken." When the people pulled him off Chicken Man, they picked him up and said, "Are you all right?" And Chicken Man looked at him and he started making the sounds of a chicken. He never ever overcame that tragedy. He was stuck. From that experience, none of us knew why Chicken Man went around with this picture.
and these little dials.
A good question to ask before undertaking any project or setting any new objective, then, is what are the most important half-dozen things that will make the major difference in how it works out? So whether the enterprise is art or architecture, music or sculpture, mathematics or sports, business or farming, success or lifestyle, it's the fundamentals that count. To understand them and to practice them is to take the first intelligent step toward accomplishing your objectives and living your dreams. The second key word for us to consider is wealth. Wealth is a word that brings about a wide variety of mental images, and that is part of my purpose in these cassettes, to provoke that wide variety of mental images, for that is where the dreams are, that is where the inspiration comes from, and that is where true incentive is born. The mystery and mixture of mental image, the stuff and the staff of life. Its right use, its constant use is the way to a life unique and a life abundant. Now, to one, wealth means having enough financial substance to be able to do whatever you wish to do with your life. To another, it may mean freedom from debt, freedom from the constant claim of obligation. To yet another, it means opportunity. And to many, wealth means $1 million. That's a unique word, millionaire. It rings of success, freedom, power, influence, pleasure, possibility, benevolence, and excitement. Not a bad mental image.
Most of you have these stats, but I pulled them because I think they're interesting. Because I'm talking about Old Testament stuff, and you might say, well, that's outdated, and we don't need to hear that. These latest stats say 1,500 pastors leave the ministry permanently each month in America. 1,500 running out the door every month. In America alone, that's a lot. Imagine 1,500 people leaving your church a month. 1,500 people, pastors a month, say, a month. 4,000 new churches start each year in America. 7,000 churches close each year. If you got 7,000 closing and 4,000 start, that's that number. You've been hearing a lot about pastors and divorces, big pastors and big preachers. There's a lot being said about people getting divorced. Oh, bless God. Oh, see, because when you're big and you have a problem, it gets a lot of publicity and people get to tie in and to talk about it like you're an anomaly, like you're an exception. Let me give you some reality check. 50% of pastors' marriages, of pastors' marriages end in divorce. So it's not just the big ones you hear about. It's the little ones too. It's just that when you're big and you get a problem that little people have, they get to kill you for having it. 50%? Gosh, that seems like a lot. That seems like a whole lot of people. 80% of pastors spend under 15 minutes a day in prayer. Maybe that's some of the problem we have. And nearly 60% of pastors secretly want to get out of ministry, but have no way to sustain themselves aside from what they're doing it for the binges. The passion is gone. The thrill is gone. They're in the middle of their lives. They can't start over in a new position. They've got too much titles and too much influence, and they're embarrassed quit, and they're hanging on by a thread. Those are huge statistics. And if those statistics are accurate, then you could assume that there is at least 10% of the people in this room are sick of just sick. Oh, praise the Lord. How you doing, friend? I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
The meaning we associate to things controls our entire life. It's not that your mother or father died that's giving you suffering. Certainly that's painful. It's the meaning you think it shouldn't have happened. And when we take control of the meaning, it's the only thing we can control in our lives. We can't control events. And we're living now where technology is happening so rapidly. It's magnificent what it does for our lives. But we all know with that technology, our psychology is not developing as rapidly. And as a result, the world's changing. And a lot of us that have learned to engage with technology and use it to maximize, most people in this room, there's lots of people who use technology to disengage, to be harmful to themselves and to other people. It's not a one-way street. So I'm interested in how to maximize the psychology side. That's why I'm sharing this with you. So you can increase both your leadership skill, but who do you have to lead first to be effective, my friends? Who? Yourself. And so good to see what's controlling you. Well, what I'm focusing on is controlling me. You can focus on something, you make yourself crazy. You can focus on something and make yourself great. In this moment, you can be worried about Ebola, because we all know it's coming. People are freaked out all over the world. 36,000 people die a year of flu, and the whole world is focused on Ebola. Because the news is not designed to inform you, it is designed to startle you. That's how you sell things. So if you let someone else take control of your focus, your life will be in someone else's hands. So first decision is what you're going to focus. Second, meaning. My father that day focused that he had to take care of his family, and the meaning was, I know what it was because he said it out loud, that I'm worthless. And when you come up with a meaning, it produces an emotion. And if you and I want to look at the quality of our life, there's only a way to find it. One way, really, that's real. How do you feel every day? If every day of your life you got $1 billion and every day you feel guilty or angry, by the way, nothing worse than an angry rich man or woman, isn't there? You just want to slap them, don't you? How do you have the right to be angry? They find a way. But if you got $1 billion and you're angry and you're pissed off and you're guilty all the time, what is the quality of your life? Angry, pissed off, and guilty.
When you go out and try to do anything outside the norm, and I'm talking anything outside the norm, you are going to be faced with negativity. You are going to have people misunderstand you. And because they misunderstand you and because you are doing something that they don't do, whether they agree with what you do or not is irrelevant. They're just not familiar with it, okay? And what do people do when they don't understand things? They usually attack them. They usually put negativity towards it. They usually project their own insecurities and their own reservations about what it is they are incapable of doing, and they put them on you. And so when you start out in business, or you start out on a weight loss journey, or you start out to be a better person, you are going to face negativity. And I don't give a shit what any of these frou-frou, fluffy guru motherfuckers out there tell you. Okay, everybody likes to pretend this is an ideal place. They like to think that everything's really going to be nice and it's going to be easy and it's going to be this. And I just have a really hard time telling you guys that shit because it's not true. If you can become someone that can transfer negativity into productive action, you are literally unstoppable by outside circumstances and outside elements. The only person that can stop you when you're able to do this is you. And the way you stop you is you can burn yourself down, right? You can get too negative. You can get too hot. You can get too frustrated. So it's something that you need to learn how to pivot on, but also control in a productive way. You all have friends that tell you shit like, hey man, what do you think, you're too good for us now? Or, you know what? I don't think that's a good idea for you to do this. Or, you know what? You're too fucking fat to do this. Or you're too stupid, or you're too lazy. Or you come from this, and these are your kind of people. You're not one of those kind of people. We always hear these things. We hear them from the people who love us the most and who are supposed to support us the most, and it hurts because of that. And it slows us down, and it makes us question ourselves, and it squashes our confidence. And for most people, it makes them give the fuck up. And I'm not with that. When people tell me shit that is negative, I take that energy, I take that frustration, I take that pain, and I go address whatever is causing the pain, because the reason it's causing pain for you is because it's true, all right? You have to acknowledge that. The reason people call you fat is because you're fucking fat. You're the one that thinks that that's mean. It's not mean, it's the truth, okay? So what do you do with the truth? You address the truth. And if you address the truth and you're able to be honest with yourself, which is a hard thing to do, right? None of us like being attacked. None of us like being told we're less than. None of us like, but the reason those things hurt is because inside we know they're true. It was true. All right. And that sucks, man. It sucks to let yourself go. It sucks to be broke. It sucks to not have shit going on. It sucks to be a loser. I've been all those things. But the difference is I was able to take the words that other people put on me and to go immediately take action towards the goals. So when you're able to use these things, guys, when you're able to use the negativity into productive action, you become someone who cannot be stopped. And like I mentioned earlier, you can only stop yourself by focusing too much on the negative.
So when they ask me, are leaders born? I know what they're not really asking, are they born? What they're really asking is, are there some people when they're born, they got it? And some people when they're born, they don't got it. And if you got it, you go to the front of the line. If you don't got it, you go to the back of the line. That's what they're asking. And I've got great news for you. And I do believe, I have no question about it, that there are some people that are born with what I call leadership leanings. No doubt about that. Just like some people are born with kind of a musical leaning. No doubt. But the great news is, because I've done this for so long and I've done this with so many over such a long period of time in every country of the world, what I know is you can learn to lead. You can learn to lead. You can learn to be a better leader than you are right now. If I'm a 5 as a leader, that means my organization will be what? Talk to me. A 4. Okay, here we go. Because the leadership lid won't allow it to go higher. So, how do I grow my organization? This is very simple, folks. I've got to raise my lid, don't I? I've got to get this lid up, and because I can become a better leader, I can raise my lid, true? So I can go from a 5 to a 6, to a 7, to an 8, to a 9. You see, your organization will grow to the size of your leadership ability. Now, if I were where you are and I was listening to what I just said, and I was taking notes, somewhere on my notes or somewhere on my iPad, I'd be putting a star right here. I'd be putting a rocket ship. I would be putting a sign that says, do not miss this. Because your ability to lead will determine how successful you'll be in this house, without any question. The whole concept, the whole idea that you can learn to lead, and if you learn to lead, and the better you learn to lead, the more successful you can become, and the greater your business. This is an absolute fact. It's not a theory, it's not a thought, it's not an idea, it's not a principle, it's a fact. And the law of the lid says, the better you learn to lead, the higher you lift that lid, the greater your business can become. Now, that's the law of the lid.
How we view things determines how we do things. That's just an incredible principle. Now, each one of these I could preach 30 minutes on, but they won't let me do that. But how I view things determines exactly. So if I view things in a perspective of wanting to serve with excellence, guess what I'll do? I'll serve with excellence. If I view things in a very kind of a average way, then I'll put average into that endeavor. So how I view things is how I do things. Let me give you another perspective principle that's just huge too, and that is what you see is who you will be. And we see things not as they are, we see things as we are. That's why two people can be in the same situation, same experience, same place, and see things completely different than anyone else. So what is before you isn't what you see, who you are is what you see.
You're actually tougher than you think. You never knew that, and maybe you didn't want to take on the responsibility because, people play a role in their own demise, so to speak. When you had opportunity to go out and explore or withdraw because you were afraid, you chose to withdraw because you were afraid. So it's not only that you were overprotected often, it's that you were willing to take advantage of the fact that you were overprotected and run back there whenever you had the opportunity. So maybe you're a kid in the playground, right, and you're having some trouble with other kids, and in the back of your mind, I should deal with this myself, but you go and tell your mom and get her to intervene. And you know that that's not right. You know that you're breaking the social contract, but it's easier, and so that's what you do. You run off to an authority figure and hide behind the great father, right, roughly speaking. Well, the problem with that is you don't learn how to do it yourself. So then you have to relearn it painfully when you're 40. So then you take people out. You say, well, what are you afraid of? Rank it from 1 to 10. So 10 is, we'll make a list of 10 things you're afraid of. The thing you're least afraid of, we'll call number 10. So we'll start with that. Okay, well, I'm afraid of elevators. Okay, well, let's look at a picture of an elevator. Let's have you imagine being in an elevator. Let's go out to an elevator and let you watch the terrible jaws of death open, because that's how you're responding to it symbolically, right? And you're going to do that at the closest proximity you can manage. You find out, you go do that, and it works. You're nervous as hell, especially from an anticipatory perspective. Shaking. You go out, you stop, you watch it happen, and you actually calm down. You do that 10 times and it no longer bothers you. Well, what you've learned that you didn't die, but more importantly than that, you've learned that you could withstand the threat of death. That's what you've learned. And then you move a little closer, and then you move a little closer, and then you move a little closer, and finally you're back in what's no longer the elevator from a symbolic perspective. It's a tomb, right? It's a place of enclosure and isolation. And you learn, turns out I can withstand that. And then you're much more together, much more confident. And that's often one of the things that often happens in situations like that. I've seen this multiple times, is that if you run someone through an exposure training process like that and toughen them up, they'll often start standing up to people around them in a way they never did before. If you concentrate solely on your career, you can get a long way in your career. And I would say that that's a strategy that a minority of men preferentially do. That's all they do. They work like 70, 80 hours a week. They go flat out on their career. They're staking everything on the small probability of exceptional status in a narrow domain. But it's hard on them. They don't have a life. It's very difficult for them to have a family. They don't know how to take any leisure activity, like they get very one-dimensional. Now, it may be that that unidimensionality is the price you have to pay to be exceptional at one thing, right? Because if you're going to be something like a genius-level mathematician, and you want to do that for, or a scientist, say, it's like, you're in your lab all the time, you're working 70 hours a week or 80 hours a week, you're smart, you're dedicated, you're unidimensional, and that's how you get to beat all the other people who are doing that. It's the only way. But the problem is you don't get a life. Now, if you love being a scientist and you have that kind of focus of mind, well, first of all, you're a rare person, and second, you're going to pay for it. But fine, more power to you. But it's a risky business to do that. You sacrifice a lot for it. You know, and I would say most often, if you're speaking about having a healthy life, that isn't what you do. You spread yourself out more. So, you know, you have a family, you have some things that you do outside of work that are meaningful to you and useful. You have a network of friends. Well, those 3 things alone, or 4 things alone, are plenty to keep you well oriented. And then if one of those things collapses, you know, everything doesn't go.
Mr. Shove said to me, I don't think your current bank balance is a true indicator of your level of intelligence. I was happy to hear that. He said, I think you have plenty of talent and ability, and that you're much smarter than your bank balance indicates. And that turned out to be true. I was much smarter. My question to him was, then why isn't my bank balance bigger? And he said, you don't have enough reason for accomplishing great things. If you had enough reasons, you could do incredible things. You have enough intelligence, but not enough reason. That's the key. If you had enough reason. In my years of study, I've also discovered this. Reasons come first, and answers come second. Life has a strange way of hiding all the answers and disclosing them only to people who have been inspired to look for them, who have reasons to look for them. Put another way, when you know what you want, and you want it badly enough, you will find ways to get it. The answers, the methods, the solutions will become evident to you. Hey, what if you had to be rich? Are there any books and tapes on the subject? The answer is yes. There are plenty of good ones. But if you don't have to be rich, you probably won't read the books or listen to the tape. What drives us to find the answers is necessity. So work on your reasons first, answers second. Now, what are some of the reasons for doing well? It varies from person to person. I'm sure that if you did a little soul searching, you could come up with a fairly strong list of reasons why you want to accomplish great things. There are personal reasons, sometimes uniquely personal reasons. Some people do well for the recognition. Some do well because of the way it makes them feel. They love the feeling of being a winner. That's one of the best reasons.
My mom this morning knew I wasn't feeling good. She goes, honey, you need to cancel that talk. I'm like, Mom, I can't cancel on these people. It's like, you work so hard. Why does it matter? I go, Mom, I'm helping them. She goes, oh, then you need to go. Because they're about service. Okay, so in your life, I'll go a little bit more here, you guys. In your life, if you combine understanding your mess can be repurposed, understanding I'm just like you, understanding the RAS, understanding changing your identity, understand bending time, you have a shot. Combined with this industry, combined with the information you're getting. But if you don't change your identity, do you know how many people I've had as friends that got wealthy that aren't anymore? More than I have that are still wealthy. Do you know how many friends I have who lost a lot of weight and got in shape and aren't in shape anymore? Do you know how many friends I have that had a great relationship and marriage that aren't in that relationship or marriage? Does this sound familiar to you? Do you want to know why? Their internal thermostat and all that crap back. I ain't going back. I know where I am. I got to change that thermostat. By the way, you change the thermostat through your association. Change the thermostat. By the way, associations read books, follow them on social media, listen to their podcasts, their audios, all that stuff. Subscribe to my podcast. It's on iTunes. Listen to my YouTube. It's all free. I make no money. This is work. My podcast cost me about $1 million. I do it to help people. I'm here today to help you. I was paid to be here today, but it's one of the only things I do to get paid anymore, to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to change your life. I spent the first 45 years of my life building my legacy and my dream, and I want to spend the second half helping other people build theirs. I feel like it's my calling and my mission in my life is to help people. It's sort of my form of ministry. I trickle God in there just a little bit, but not enough to be offensive. I give people the tools, skills, and inspiration to do it. I want to change the world. I want 1 billion people to change their lives to be a force for good. And let me explain to you why. I think the world is more screwed up and divided than it's ever been in the history of mankind. You're either a Democrat or a liberal or a Republican or a this or a that or black against white. If you in our country right now, evidently, if you're a white male, your enemy are are brown people who are coming across our border, right? If that's not your enemy, then if you're a Christian, your enemy is a Muslim. If that's not your enemy, then if you're black, your enemy is white privileged males, right? By the way, really your enemy, if they're a Christian, white privileged, successful, married male, then they're really bad guys, right? And what we do is we enemy each other constantly in this world. We're more divided than we've ever been. People are broke. They're struggling. They want to blame somebody. The bottom line is people don't like their lives. They're not happy with their lives. They're looking for someone to blame. Politicians, Trump and Obama, I don't care who you like, they're both incredible at getting you to subtly blame someone else for your conditions.
Those are confidants, and every person, not just every leader, every person needs a few confidants in your life with whom you can be transparent, and then you won't be so lonely all the time. This man is in cave because there's nobody walking with him. There's nobody who's got his rhythm. There's nobody who's got his pace. And then there are constituents. And this is the vast majority. This is the big category of what happens in church. Constituents are distinctly different from confidants. Confidants are for you. Constituents are for what you are for. They line up with the cause. They're called to the cause. They join your church because you feed homeless people. They join your church because of your foreign missions. They join your church because you're going to heaven. They join your church because you believe in faith and you teach the word. They join your church. They are not for you now. They are not for you. They are for what you are for. They're going your way. They are for what you're for. What's the highway we came in on? What's the number? I-5. You're on I-5. They're on I-5. You're going in the same direction. They're going your way. They are for what you are for. They're not for you. And you have to understand that because they're attracted to the direction you're going in. But if they see a car that will get them there quicker, they will leave you because they were never for you. They were for where you were going. And if somebody else can get them there quicker than you, they will hop out of your car and dive into their car and go down the road because they were never attracted to you. They were attracted to your direction. And these are constituents. They are for what you are for. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that until you mistake a constituent for a confidant. And you have a personal relationship with a public person and you think they are there for you and they were never there for you. They were there for what you were for. And then there are comrades. The third category is comrades. Now, comrades are not for you and they are not for what you are for. They are just against what you are against. They're comrades. They are attracted to you because you have a common enemy and they will be with you as long as the fight exists. But when the fight is over, they are gone. It's like the past election. I'm going to be very careful because we get in politics, we'll all be fighting. In the past election, when McCain and Hillary Clinton got together to attack Obama, McCain and Clinton wouldn't get together about nothing except they were both against Obama. Sometimes people only join you because you have a common enemy. They're comrades. They're with you in the struggle. And in the trenches, they're wearing your uniform. But when the fighting stops, you will be attacked in your own foxhole. If you bring a comrade too close to you, when your comrade gets through shooting at who you're shooting at, they will shoot you. Because they were never for you and they were never for what you were for. They were just against what you were against. You'd be surprised at the people who fight against stuff, just all kinds of stuff, abortion, same-sex marriage, all kinds of stuff. They're against the same stuff, but they're not for each other. They join together in the fight. You, as a leader, have to know why people hooked up with you. Because if you misallocate a person into the wrong category, you will be brokenhearted and wounded and end up in the cave because you thought a constituent was a confidant, thought a comrade was a constituent. When the fight was over, they got shot in your own foxhole. And I don't care what you hear about on TV, there is no such thing as friendly fire. A bullet is a bullet. Where in the all fire Belimity did we get friendly fire from? Get closer. Friendly fire. There is no friendly fire. You shot me. What is a friendly bullet? A bullet go in your hind end saying, I like you, you know? Woo, you know, what's up with that?
Because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Who's with me on this, right? You make everybody else feel great. I mean, it's a horrible example. I hate it, but we all know an extraordinary spirit that took his own life just recently probably lit up more human beings than almost anybody alive when it comes to humor and joy. He made everybody else feel happy but himself. It's sad. You don't want that to be you. If there's any gift he can give besides his joy is the evidence of what you don't want to move towards. Nobody in this room is going to move towards that, but we do it at a little level. We die a little bit along the way by giving up what we really desire and believe in. And my goal is to make sure to see if we can wake that up. So, and by the way, fulfillment is as unique as there are people. Achievement, there's laws, right? You do this. Money, there are laws. Your body, there's laws. We all have biochemical, special, unique identities, but there's certain fundamentals. If you do them in mass, you're going to be overweight. If you do them differently, you're going to be fit and strong. Same thing with money. But fulfillment is as unique as art. Art is what one person thinks is beautiful, somebody else can think is ugly, and that's perfectly fine. Have you ever gone to an art museum and you see this big red square and they go, $10 million? You go, you gotta be kidding me. $10 million for that freaking square? I'll draw you a square. But someone else, no, look at the texture, the taste, the flavor. I can taste the paint from here. They have a different way of being fulfilled, right? So those are the two kind of lessons of life. So this is what I'd like to do to help you with both those today, if you want to play with. Number one, let's take a look at what will give you the edge. Who's up for having a competitive edge in anything you do? Say I. And it's not BS and it's not positive thinking. It's something you can test because the edge is what's going to get more out of you. Second, I'd like to show you how to create a breakthrough. Who here has an area of your life where there's something you've struggled with for a while and you're sick of struggling with it and you're sick of making excuses and you want to actually change it today? Who's got one of those in your life? Say I. If you want to play full out, I can show you that. And the third element really affects the other two, and it's really the one that affects business and life, and that's the power of engagement. All of these are tied to engagement.